In 1955, fast food was a novelty, a burger, fries, a Coke, simple, cheap, quick. But somewhere along the way, America's fast food industry stopped selling meals and started engineering cravings. Today, nearly 37% of American adults eat fast food on any given day. Researchers now say portion sizes, sodium and calories have steadily increased for decades. Yet despite healthy options, obesity rates in America have exploded from roughly 13% in the early 1960s to around 40% today. So what happened? How did fast food evolve from a roadside convenience into one of the most powerful industries on earth? And why do so many people feel like they can't stop eating it? Tonight, we investigate the rise, the transformation, and the hidden cost of America's fast food empire. The birth of fast food. Post-war America was changing fast. The Second World War had ended, and a new version of American life was beginning to take shape. Cities were expanding outward. Suburbs were growing. Highways stretched farther than ever before. Families bought homes outside major cities, and for the first time, millions of Americans were commuting by car every single day. Daily life became faster, and convenience suddenly mattered more than ever. And fast food arrived at exactly the right moment. Chains like McDonald's and KFC weren't just selling meals, they were selling speed. For decades, eating out had usually meant sitting down at a diner, waiting for a server, and spending time at the table. Fast food changed that completely. The concept was simple but revolutionary. Get customers in, get food out, and keep the line moving. In the 1950s, Colonel Harlan Sanders began franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken across America, turning one successful recipe into a national business model. Burger chains quickly followed, drive-ins became common. Bright signs appeared along busy roads. Families could stop for a quick meal and continue on without slowing down. Then another innovation arrived: pizza delivery. In 1960, Domino's was founded in Michigan, helping transform fast food from something you picked up into something that could come directly to your front door. By the 1960s, chains weren't only competing on flavor anymore. They were competing for visibility. The best location, the fastest service, the most recognizable logo. And fast food was beginning its transformation from a restaurant into part of everyday American life, selling to children. The 1970s changed everything. Fast food companies discovered something incredibly powerful: children. McDonald's launched McDonaldland in 1970, introducing characters like Ronald McDonald, Grimace, Mayor McKeese, and the Hamburglar. Restaurants became colorful, playful, and exciting. Fast food was no longer just a meal. It became entertainment, bright mascots, collectible toys, colorful packaging, indoor playgrounds. Suddenly, children weren't simply asking their parents for dinner, they were demanding specific brands. And marketers understood something extremely important. If you capture someone as a child, you might keep them as a customer for life. Television advertising became one of the industry's most powerful weapons. Saturday morning cartoons were filled with commercials promoting burgers, fries, and sugary drinks directly to young audiences. Happy Meals helped transform food into an emotional experience. Children began associating fast food with rewards, birthdays, fun, and family outings. By the 1980s and 1990s, fast food advertising was everywhere. Television commercials during cartoons, movie partnerships, sports sponsorships, school promotions. Children grew up surrounded by logos before they could even spell the company names. And the strategy worked. Fast food became emotionally connected to childhood memories, birthday parties, family road trips, Happy Meals, Saturday afternoons. The industry wasn't just selling burgers anymore. It was selling familiarity, comfort, routine. And over time, fast food stopped feeling like an occasional treat and started becoming part of everyday life. The science of craving. But branding alone wasn't enough. Fast food companies needed customers to return again and again and again. So the food itself evolved. Researchers say modern fast food became increasingly engineered around three powerful ingredients: salt, sugar, fat. The perfect combination to stimulate reward systems in the brain and encourage repeat consumption. Scientists often describe these foods as hyper-palatable, meaning they are specifically designed to feel difficult to stop eating. The crunch of fried food, the melted cheese, the sweetness of sauces, the salt covering fries. Every detail matters. One major study examining fast food menus over a 30-year period found calories and sodium levels significantly increased over time across major chains. Entrees gained roughly 30 additional calories per decade, while desserts increased even more. Portion sizes also expanded dramatically over time. And while many restaurants introduced salads and healthier menu options, the overall nutritional environment still became worse. Researchers also found sodium levels remained extremely high across many popular fast food items. The industry had discovered something unsettling. People don't only eat when they're hungry. They eat when food is engineered to be rewarding, convenient, cheap, and constantly available. And once those eating habits form, they become incredibly difficult to break. The portion explosion. In the beginning, fast food portions were relatively modest. Early burgers were smaller. Fries came in simple paper bags. Drinks were much smaller than what most people consider medium today. But over time, more food became one of the industry's most effective marketing strategies. Bigger fries, bigger drinks, bigger burgers, and eventually, supersizing. Customers were constantly encouraged to spend just a little more money for a larger portion. And psychologically, it worked. Because once people become used to larger portions, smaller portions start to feel disappointing, even if they were once considered normal. Researchers studying portion trends found that entree portion sizes increased steadily over multiple decades. Desserts grew even larger. Soft drink sizes expanded dramatically compared to earlier generations. And consumers barely noticed, because gradual change is difficult for the human brain to detect. A soda cup becomes slightly taller. A burger becomes slightly wider. Fries containers hold slightly more food every few years, year after year, decade after decade, until unhealthy begins to feel completely normal. Studies on portion sizes now suggest that larger portions directly encourage people to consume more calories, even when they aren't intentionally trying to overeat. Exposure to oversized meals became routine, and eventually, entire generations grew up believing these portions were standard, even though they were historically unprecedented. The fast food takeover. By the 2000s, fast food wasn't just a restaurant industry anymore. It had become part of everyday infrastructure, available 24 hours a day, on major highways and quiet suburban corners, inside airports, inside shopping malls, inside schools and hospital cafeterias, and eventually inside your phone. Ordering food no longer required driving anywhere. A meal could arrive at your front door with a few taps. Fast food had woven itself directly into daily life. And as public awareness around nutrition increased, the industry adapted. Consumers were asking more questions about calories, ingredients, and where food actually came from. So brands responded. Menace began using words like fresh, natural, and organic. Chains such as Shake Shack emphasized hormone-free Angus beef and premium ingredients. Fast casual brands positioned themselves as an upgrade from traditional drive-thrus. Plant-based concepts also gained momentum. Restaurants offering meat-free burgers, vegan sushi, and alternative proteins attracted customers looking for healthier options. Even giants like Subway built entire campaigns around freshness and healthier eating. For many people, it felt like fast food was evolving. But critics argued the transformation was often more about branding than changing the system itself. Because underneath the advertising, the core business model remained the same. High volume, fast turnover, constant convenience, more purchases, more cravings, more repeat visits. The look became cleaner, the packaging became smarter, the ingredients sounded healthier. But the speed of consumption only increased. Fast food didn't disappear, it expanded. And by then, it wasn't simply competing with home cooking. For millions of people, it had become the default. What people started noticing. Across the internet, people began noticing something strange. Many claimed fast food didn't taste the same anymore. Others said portions were shrinking while prices climbed. Some described foods tasting more artificial than they remembered as children. Online discussions frequently criticized modern fast food for becoming increasingly processed, engineered, and profit-driven. In online discussions, users frequently describe modern processed foods as more chemically engineered and ultra-processed than decades ago. Others argue quality has declined while marketing has become more aggressive. Now, not all of these perceptions are scientifically proven. Nostalgia can distort memory, but one thing is measurable. Modern fast food menus are far larger and more calorie-dense than they once were. The health consequences. As fast food expanded, America's health crisis expanded with it. At first, the connection wasn't obvious. Fast food felt like progress. It was cheap, quick, reliable, a hot meal ready in minutes. But over time, the long-term consequences became harder to ignore. Obesity rates climbed. Type 2 diabetes increased. Heart disease remained one of the country's leading causes of death. High blood pressure became more common. And researchers increasingly began pointing toward a major factor: ultra-processed foods. Meals loaded with sodium, added sugar, saturated fat, preservatives, and refined carbohydrates became a regular part of daily life for millions of Americans. The convenience was undeniable, but the health costs kept rising. Studies over the last several years have continued linking heavy intake of ultra-processed foods with obesity, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic disorders, especially when those foods replace fresher, less processed meals. And yet, fast food remains deeply embedded in American life because for millions of people, it's affordable, convenient, fast. Sometimes the only realistic option between long work hours, commuting, tight budgets, and limited access to healthier food. For many communities, fast food isn't simply a craving. It's part of the food system around them. This isn't just about individual choices. It's about an entire food environment designed around speed, scale, and profit. Then VS Now. When you compare early fast food to modern fast food, the differences become impossible to ignore. In the 1950s and 1960s, menus were smaller, portions were smaller, ingredients were simpler. Fast food was occasional, a quick stop during a road trip, a treat after school, something special once in a while. Now, menus contain hundreds of items. Meals are dramatically larger. Calories and sodium levels are significantly higher than decades ago. And fast food has become a daily ritual for millions. Modern ultra-processed foods now account for more than half of calories consumed by Americans. What started as convenience slowly became dependence, not because one burger destroys your health, but because an entire culture formed around constant consumption. Fast food became tied to work schedules, commutes, entertainment, stress, comfort. And perhaps the most unsettling part is how normal it all feels. Most people don't notice the transformation while living through it, because it happens slowly. One larger soda, one extra topping, one delivery app, one combo meal at a time. Fast food changed America. But America changed fast food too. We demanded faster meals, cheaper meals, bigger meals, and the industry delivered. Now the question is no longer whether fast food transformed. It's whether we fully understand what it transformed us into.